Good evening. My name is Barsha Mondal and I am a part-time lecturer in the Department of English, Rabindra Bharati University, Center for Distance and Online Learning, Kolkata. I welcome you to the stories of tribal identity and culture that will explore the role of tribal history and tribal representation in history in shaping cultural identity and ideology, curated under TMYS Review December 2024 in collaboration with the Center for Asia Pacific Initiatives, University of Victoria. We are also calling for submission of essays, poems, and short stories under this project. To know more about the submission guidelines and the project architecture, please visit www.tellmeyourstory.biz. This evening, I consider myself very privileged to be in the company of our esteemed panelists, Dr. Sujit Kumar Choudhary, Dr. Nehal Farooquee, and Dr. Nitesh Raj, who will shortly share their views and insights with us. The topic for today's discussion is role of environmental consciousness in cross-culturalization. Before we begin, I would like to introduce our speakers. Our first speaker for the session is Dr. Sujit Kumar Choudhary. Dr. Sujit Kumar Choudhary is an associate professor and head of the Department of Sociology at Mahatma Gandhi Central University, Bihar, since September 27, 2019. He obtained his MA, MPhil, and PhD in sociology from Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. He was conferred 9 prestigious awards for his meritorious services, outstanding performance, remarkable role in education, and best academic foundational work in sociology discipline. He has also published a wide range of articles and books. We are delighted to have you on the panel, Dr. Chaudhary. Thank you for joining us this evening. Our second speaker for the session is Dr. Nehal Farooquee. Professor Nehal Farooquee is presently the director of School of Extension and Development Studies at Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi, where he is the coordinator of MA in Development Studies, PG Diploma in Development Studies, MA in Urban Studies, and PG Diploma in Urban Planning and Development Studies. Before IGNOU, he worked at G.B. Pant Institute of Himalayan Environment and Development and Autonomous Institute of Ministry of Environment and Forests, Government of India, Almora, from 1991 to 2009, where he was involved in research on different aspects of Himalayan environment, including high altitude pastoral societies of Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Uttarakhand, and Ladakh. He has around 100 papers and 6 books to his credit. It is a pleasure to have you with us today, Dr. Farooqui. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Our
Thank you.
third speaker for the session is Dr. Nitesh Raj. Dr. Nitesh Raj holds a PhD in economics and an MBA in HR. He has earned a gold medal for his outstanding contributions in the field. He is currently a faculty in the Department of Economics at Ranchi University, Ranchi, Jharkhand. He has over 20 years of experience in teaching economics with specializations in tribal economics, environmental economics, mathematical economics, econometrics, managerial economics, human resource management, business economics, financial spreadsheets, and performance management. He is also an esteemed resource person and has been invited to deliver numerous lectures at prestigious institutions throughout India. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Raj. Thank you for joining us this evening. We will now open the forum for discussion. I would like to request Dr. Sujit Kumar Choudhary to begin. Sir,
Thank you.
over to you.
Yes, please. Thank you, Dr. Barsha. Uh, Panelist Professor Nehal, Dr. Nitish Raj. Uh, Thank you for giving me this opportunity to participate in this panel discussion of related with the tribal identity and culture. So actually, I have done also PhD and also many projects and written many books on this tribal. And what I'm trying to say here is that related with the Jharkhand, my focus area was on Jharkhand. So here, what I found related with this, there are many things related with the tribals. Okay, so you cannot say, as postmodern discourse, we generally say time and space. Okay, so it depends on that. For instance, if you take the tribals of Ranchi district, which is very developed, and on the other hand, if you will take the tribals of some remote areas like Santhal Pagna, you will find a huge difference between these two groups of people, Santhal, Urao, Munda, and all. So far as the environmental consciousness is concerned, my study actually focused on the educational aspect and also what are the contributions of NGOs, including missionaries, in the different areas. Okay, so what my findings is something like that related with. I have studied in the one hand Ranchi districts, tribals of Ranchi districts, and on the other hand Santhal Pagana. So my finding is something like that. As you are aware about the fact that the tribals of Ranchi districts, they are much developed. Why this much developed? Because of this exposure with the missionaries, Christian missionaries from long back. So I found from the very beginning, from my PhD research and thereafter also right to education, I studied there in these villages, different projects, and also that was UGC research was awarded on this topic also. So what I found is that the time and space matters. Whether travel is related with the, you cannot generalize. What I'm trying to say is that, so in the Ranchi district, what I found is that they are much developed. They are environmentally conscious, but the thing is that they are so called most modernized than the tribals of Santhal Pargana. Okay, because Santhal Pargana is still in the stage of educationally. For instance, if you take the one example, I'm just quoting here. Okay, I studied in that Itki village in the which is situated in the Ranchi districts. Okay, so as per the 2001 census, because I have done very long back this study, that time around 80% literacy rate was there. But on the other hand, I have also studied Dumka districts of Santhal Pagna, and they are only 46%. Why this kind of differences? So I found is that because in Ranchi districts, okay, all kinds of educational institutions are very active, and most importantly, Christian missionaries. The contribution. I have also written an article on Asian and African studies, role of missionaries in the education of tribals of Jharkhand, and I found they have enormous contribution, Christian missionaries, in their education, in their health, and somewhat also with the environmental concerns, because we always say that the tribals are related with the jal, jameen, and one thing, jungle. Okay, so they are very conscious about these things. But when they are even, if you say something like that, it's not about the education. So is the thing that I also found in the different districts of Jharkhand state. Even now, I am Bihar. Also visited many places that I found they are very, uh, what you call it, environmentally very conscious. And second thing, my study regarding this, the social capital, concept of social capital. So I found, as John Harris and Pierre Bourdieu discusses about the mainly three kinds of social capital. One is bonding, bridging, and linking kind of social capital. The thing is that the bonding, kind of social capital everywhere is present among the tribals. But when the educationally they are more advanced, they are more literate, and they are also participating in different kinds of governmental, non-governmental, and also political platforms. So I found that they are more related with, they are more advanced because of their education. So bonding, bridging, and linking kind of social capital. But on the other hand, if we go to the different remote areas where tribals are staying, that I found bonding is very much there among this group, among the people, among their own people. But the bridging and linking kind of social capital is still, some kind of there is a gap. Another thing is that if you will take the something uh, this is Andaman Nicobar's island, Jarvas and Andamanis and others, then you will find is something very something that you can say indigenous people. They are completely out of the mainstream society and they are living in their own world. So in that situation, when you say that education and other things, but one thing is that environmentally theory cultures and bonding kind of social capital always present with them. So that was and other things I'm just focusing about as I have also done some research on right to education. Okay, so the right to education I have studied in 6 villages of Jharkhand. All right, and on this I have studied about the comparison between the tribals and non-tribals. If you take the example of Ranchi districts and even backward districts of, then you will find, if you take the example of one village, then you will find something related with that. Ki if the schools and other things were present, then many of the places I found there was no difference between the tribals and non-tribal because they are equally participating in different kinds of educational institutions. Okay, so in this situation, what I trying to say is that if you take about the Rachi districts, then you will find that the tribals are very much developed and advanced because of the exposure, because of the high degree of formation of social capital. But on the other hand, even if you take remote villages of Jharkhand, then even the non-tribals are similar backward than the like the tribals, maybe a little bit more, but not so much difference that I found. So that was the concern I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insights. We are delighted to all hear all of that. We have our second speaker for the session, Dr. Nehal Farooquee. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, Dr. Sujit Kumar Choudhary, Dr. Nitish Raj, and Dr. Barsha Mondal. I don't know how I fit in here because my study is mostly on natural resource use pattern of these tribal communities, how they have adapted themselves in an extreme inhospitable conditions, and how they live in harmony with nature in a very high altitude area. So I will be giving two case studies, one from Uttarakhand and one from Arunachal Tawang area. So in Uttarakhand, so there are 20 villages at the tri-junction of India, Tibet, and Nepal, bilkul, which is jutting like this. So there are three valleys, Dharma, Byas, and Chodas. And this there is a community called Bhotias. Now, Bhotia is a generic term given by Britishers. They themselves call themselves as Shokas, but in all the census and all the government documents, they have been referred as Bhotias. So Bhotias are of two kinds, one who are settled and one who are transhumant in nature. Now, transhumant means they have two settlements. One, they stay in the during winter, they stay in the lower villages, and summer, they go to the upper villages. They have two settlements. And this study is how they have adapted and why do they migrate, why do they traverse between winter and summer settlement. Now, these people were also trans-border traders. They traded with Tibet till 1962. So their entire culture, their entire resource use, their entire society has evolved as a nomad, not nomadic, as a transhuman. So during winter, their settlement is used to be in the valleys, where they involved in little woolen garments making, little agriculture in small pieces of land. But during summer, they go to the higher altitude villages. There also they have agriculture land, and they have huge livestock herding. So each family has around 500 to 400. It used to be. Now the number has decreased. Sheep and goat, and they graze. Earlier they had yak also, and these yak were used as pack animals to trade between Tibet and India. They used to bring their goods and stuff from for the trading from the Tibet side. Now they have, because of the stoppage of the trade and because of the depleting of the forest resources and a number of activities, forest department has curtailed their movement into many forest areas for conservation of forests. So their movement is restricted, so they have stopped yak herding. They only keep sheep and goat, because sheep and goat is easy to manage, whereas yak is a voracious eater. It needs lot of resources. So they've, this is how I, this the study says why they left yak herding, because resources became scarce, and the depletion of the grazing resources. Now, when they go to the higher altitude villages, they also cultivate few crops, high altitude crops like Phygopyrum esculatum, Phygopyrum tataricum. These are the finger millets we call it, and what we call it kutu gata. During fasting period, people, those who keep fast, they eat. So these are grown in high altitude regions. They also cultivate little potatoes also, and little cabbage, but their agriculture is not developed. They just haphazardly grow, but their primary activity is pastoralism. Now, this community was granted scheduled tribe status by Mrs. Indira Gandhi in 1977. So after that, it gave them, so because of their trans-border and border community, the government also wanted that they should have some development. The community should also survive and stay there comfortably. So they were given. So what happened was, some, those who got educated, those who were settled in the lower valleys, so they got educated and they took benefit of this status of scheduled tribe, and many of them are still, they got lot of benefit, and they came into government services. But those who were pastoralists and nomadic in nature, transhumants, they still continue to do that, because they find this mode of adaptation in high altitude, in hospitable condition, as more easy and very lucrative. Lucrative in the sense that they say that genetically their genes are for high altitude, colder region. So when they are, if they are forced to take up a job in a hotter region in the lower altitude, so they find it very difficult to adjust to these conditions, so they survive. That's what they were telling me. Now their story of adaptation is very good. Now these sheep and goats, they go and graze in the alpine meadows. They call it bugyals. Now these, how they graze? Now they divide their entire stock of sheep and goat into three categories. Now the best grasses, which grows after the melt of the snow on the high altitude alpine meadows, so that time these grasses are very nutritive. So they those grasses are grazed by those sheep and goats, which is used for procreation. And the second category is those animals which is used for table meat animals. And third category, they divide, that is used for pack animals, because they, once they move from high altitude to the lower altitude, so it takes 20 to 30 days. It is around 70 to 80 kilometers from range. The height is 3,500 meters to they come down to 1,200 meters in the valleys of Uttarakhand, Pithoragarh district. So this adaptation, and I also quantified that why, and there are other, earlier I told you that they had yak. Now because of yak is a voracious eater, they could not afford yak. So they devised a method, they crossbred the yak with local cows of lower altitude. And the progeny they got, that is, that can adjust in both the condition, because they are transhumant, they migrate between high altitude and low altitude. So this progeny, this offspring can survive in both the colder conditions and the high and the hotter conditions of valleys. So, and they also use them as pack animals and as a milch animals. They also draw milk from them. So this is how they survive. Now the number of these people who practice this transhumance is around 5 to 10,000, varying. Sometimes the number increases. Sometimes one family does not migrate. Sometimes if the migratory person is sick, so they don't migrate. Sometimes 2 3 youngsters, they also gather the sheep and goat from other communities and they start migrating and they migrate. So this is the study of their adaptation in inhospitable condition, how they stay. Now, at the higher altitude in the upper stead, they have a small house where there is a hearth, kitchen, a small heating or you call oven, and all the family members they stay in that around the oven. That oven, when the roti is being cooked of Phygopyrum escuratum and tataricum and meat and some butter from the milk of yak and cow progeny, that is called jupu and jumu. I have published all this. If you write catchword, password, and of these and my name, you will get all these papers in international journals I have published. It is already there in public domain. So these crossbred animals are the milk from these they use for their local consumption, and they make lot of ghee and butter, and they barter exchange with people of lower altitude when they come. So this is how they survive. And earlier, they were trans-border traders, so they traded with Tibet. They brought woolen items, silk, salt, borax from that side, and tea from that side. And from lower altitude, they took lot of grains to Tibet. So this was the barter exchange earlier. Now they don't. There is no. This trade has been stopped after 62. But again, in 1992, this trade has been started, regulatory trade by government effort. So only limited items are traded, and there is a market in Tibet called Taklakot. So they are permitted only their entry till the Taklakot market, not beyond that. So although they trade, and now it is traded in the foreign exchange currency, there is a bank which has been created so that government keeps a check on them. And also because of the border and Tibet with China, India does not have a very good relations because of so many border issues. So government also wants to keep a check that what things are coming, what things are going, and it is being regulated. So, but these people, they are not happy with this kind of trade. So they have adapted to grazing and depending on the sheep and goat and the progeny of yak, that is they call jupu and jumu. So this is the story I documented, I have published. Now, what we learn from this is that although scheduled tribe status was given to them, but some, those who do not migrate, they have taken advantage, and many of them are bureaucrats. Some of the name titles, if I give you, you will hear one name is like Tolia. Now they are from Dr. Tolia was he retired as a chief secretary from Uttarakhand. There are others also. So there are many IAS around till 2009 when I was there in that institute. I used to keep a track of this community. There were 13 IAS and 14 IPS officers from that community. So there's a huge number. Apart from that, in other banks and other jobs, they took advantage. Now, this is a small story of this pastoral communities. They still reside in that tri-junction, these 21 villages, and they still practice. Now, road has come up. Border area, BRO, Border Road Organization, has made motorable road. It is not yet Akka, but the motorable road has been made. People, that is the also route to Kailash Mansarovar. Earlier, the tourists, those who visited Kailash Mansarovar, they used to Kumau Mandal Vikas Nagam, the government of the body, they used to arrange this tourism to Kailash Mansarovar, and they have opened a small another site in India, Indian border site, Adi Kailash, Chota Kailash, and Parvati Kund, and they promote tourism. Now, China has stopped visit to Kailash Mansarovar through this route. So people, those who want to visit, they go through Nepal now. And the tourists from India side, they go to Kailash, Adi Kailash and Parvati Kunj, that is in the high altitude region. So these people, they have become ecotourists. Ecotourism has been developed. Now they keep these tourists in their houses. So they have adapted. Earlier they used to come down during winter time. Now they stay there, although their entire villages get submerged under snow because the area gets heavy snowfall. The high altitude region, as I told you, that their villages are around 300 to 3,500 meters. So, but still they stay to attract tourists for winter gaming, winter sports, those who want to see. So this is how they have adapted. And this story, this study was basically seeing that adaptation, sustainable issues we try to address, whether this can continue or not. But what I have concluded, that as long as these resources are there, if they don't go and graze there, their livestock, sheep and goat, grasses would be there, they would perish. So they want to utilize those grasses, and they draw a lot of milk and healthy meat from sheep and goat. So this is the study of them. Another study, similar kind of study, was done. I was given by Ministry of Environment to do a study of the Monpa tribe of Tawang region. Now they are only yak herders. So there are 3 talukas and around 18 villages in that area, in Tawang area. Now these Monpas are yak herders, Monpas and Brokpas. There are 2 communities. Now they raise only yaks, and they depend only on yak grazing. They make butter, milk, meat, yak wool, yak skin, and everything they draw from the yak. So their entire life revolves around yak. So each household maintains around 10 to 20 yaks, and one member of the family stays in the forest with the yak, and after 15 or 20 days or 1 month, he is replaced by another member of the family. He comes down to the village, and another member of the family goes and sees the yak in the forest. Now, these people are also polyandrous. They are Mongoloid origin, and all the family, all the brothers have only one wife. So the wife stays in the village, and the brothers, they go and come. They go and see the yak and come and bring the yak products, which is barter exchange for the food grains by the other tribal community, that is the Sherdupkins community. So this is how this particular community survive in Tawang area of Arunachal Pradesh. Now their survival is also very interesting, since yak is a very voracious eater, as I told there. So what they do, they maintain the yak in the high altitude only. They don't bring them in the lower altitude, because the villages have also encroached in the common land. They have increased their agriculture activities. So when the yak comes, so they destroy, they eat their grazing, available crops in the field. So there is a fight. So they don't want to come back. So all through the year, these yaks are maintained in the higher altitude meadows, which is called Jarbrock, which is called Jarbrock in their local language, and Gunbrock was the local lower altitude grazing. So now they don't come. This is how they are surviving. A small third study which I did with the Changpas of Leh Ladakh. There they are pure nomadic, where family stays in the villages in the Changpas areas, Changthang Plateau, and the family and the male members, they move on like a nomadic community from one post to another, grazing all the available resources of Changthang Plateau. Now, these communities are also good in number. They also have started keeping some sheep and goat, and during winter they fold their yak herds in a there's a place where there is a Sangpo lake. So that lake has a lot of salt around the water, and it does not freeze. So during winter time they come and stay there for some time, and that is the place where they decide their matrimonial alliances for their kids. They exchange their they exchange their relationship with other relations, and they try to meet there. So these are the 3 small studies of high altitude I wanted to share. Now, without giving any theoretical, what you say, the base, this was a story of adaptation of 3 different pastoral groups of high altitude, which they still continue and do. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for all these insights. It's really interesting to know about tribals living under such precarious conditions at such high altitudes. Their trade, culture, tourism, and government schemes also related but also different. Our third speaker for the session is Dr. Nitish Raj. Oh, the screen is yours, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Uh, Respected Professor Nehal, sir, Dr. Sujit, sir, and Barsha Mondal, ma'am. So, in fact, I'm here to say something about that I have done in Jharkhand itself. And those things, one by one, I'm going to deal with all of you. Like, first thing that I have dealt when I was in Siddhu Kanu Murmi City, Dumka, in Jharkhand itself. It is the second capital city of Jharkhand. And here I have seen that, and what I have concluded in my papers, that some restrictions have been imposed by the government on the forest product, that the villagers or the Adivasis cannot bring something like branches from the trees. They cannot break it. Okay, they cannot. They are not allowed to bring their mahua fools, and a lot of restrictions have been made by the government by making a launch. Okay, such things I have realized in Dumka itself, and I just come to know that these things are, are actually they are basically government has adopted this policy only to protect the environment, but actually this not happened, because the Adivasi peoples were only taking those branches, okay, and those fools and those fruits from the forest areas which were already have been fallen. They are not used to break all these things. They are not used to break the green forest kind of the things. So that was the um, that was the thing that really hampered, they really restricted the traditional practices of the Adivasi families. So they were very much annoyed by the government itself. So that was the that I've seen itself here in Dumka. Second thing that I have one my paper in in that particular thing that I'm dealing with you. Second thing is that when I was in Simdega, this is also one of the city of Jharkhand. Here I come to know about this Cheek Badai community of Simdega. Cheek Badai community are now in instinct. In fact, what they people are doing, they were weaving the clothes for the other tribal communities. Okay, because in Jharkhand there are 32 tribal communities, in which eight are the eight comes under PBT, primitive, and four are the artisan tribes. So what I have seen that Cheek Braik is one of the artisan tribe, and they people are now in instinct. They are leaving their traditional practices of weaving. Uh, I have done my dissertations over there, as well as I have also written so many papers in order to protect the traditional practices of weaving, because I just wanted to show that the government is not going to interfere in their business, as well as also the local peoples are not very much interested to protect these peoples. Cheek Black is a tribal community, in fact. Okay, and what I observed over there, particularly I've observed, I've just done a lot of work with these peoples. I have observed that they are in favor to do something to be marketized, but they are not getting opportunities by the local people, not by the, because they're having the competition with the ready-made garments. Okay, they are mill-made garments, and they are particularly they are weaving by their hands. This comes under the handloom. So I just seen that now, out of 54,000 and all over Jharkhand, that is 54,156 cheek break tribal people are existing, and 80% to 90% peoples have left their work. So they are now, their traditional practices are now extinct. So this is the basic problems with the Adivasi community in Jharkhand, because Jharkhand is known as for its Adivasi culture, traditions, medicinal things, but they are not surviving in a very better manner. And next one is that particularly because I have written uh, one paper, that is commercialization of tribal medicinal plant products, that is lab techniques to market, that is trade. Because I'm the student of economics, uh, so I'm also teaching here the mathematical economics, econometrics kind of the things. But in environmental economics, as well as for the traditional peoples, for the Adivasi people, I have done so many works. So that's why I just want to share with you people that how this commercializations of this tribal medicinal plants products can be take place. So this is recent years, that it had been grabbed so many attention from the all over world itself. And what is happening that herbs as well as honey kind of the things from the tribal people they are extracting. So these are highly demanded for natural and sustainable remedies. So however, the process of commercialization these products involved several challenges, including ensuring quality control, standardization, and trade regulations compliances. How they are going to meet all these things? Because they are simple Adivasi peoples, and they don't have any protection. So many things, but despite this, not particular things in order to protect the interest of the Adivasi people. So to address the challenges, various laboratory techniques have been developed, and that has to be addressed in recent years, because this is going to enable the authentication, standardization, and quality control of medicinal plant products. So these techniques includes uh, chromatography, spectrometry, and DNA barcoding. So among others, which help identify and quantify the active constituents in plant extracts. In addition to laboratory techniques, various trade regulations, certifications, labeling systems have been established to ensure the safe and ethical trade of medicinal plant products. So these include certifications such as Fair, Wild, and Organic, which certify sustainable and ethical sourcing of plants materials, and labeling systems such as the access and benefit sharing agreements. Yeah, this must be happen, which ensures that benefits derived from the use of traditional knowledge and resources are shared fairly among communities, particularly Adivasi communities. Overall, the commercializations of tribal medicinal plants products requires a combination of scientific expertise, ethical trade practices, and community involvement. So, by using these uh, laboratory techniques to trade, okay, it is possible to ensure the quality, safety, and sustainability of these products. So these things are very important. Some of the I just want to show that I have identified some plants like ashwagandha, like neem, aloe vera, turmeric, brahmi, amla. So these are the things that are ample in Jharkhand, but they are not being commercialized over here. Uh, the actual benefit is not given to the Adivasi peoples. If it is happening, but some big companies comes over here and they take all the piece of cake. So this is happening. So the tribal peoples are being exploited over here. Uh, so these are my crux of all the things that I have done in Jharkhand itself. So thank you for all of you to give me such kind of the opportunity to share my views. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your vital observations, Dr. Raj. It's really interesting to know about how tribals in this modern era are trying to enter the mainstream market despite all the adversities that they are facing. We will now move on to the question and answer session. My first question is for Dr. Choudhary. In your article, Educational Status of Tribals in Jharkhand, you have mentioned that the Itikutha Kurgaon village possesses numerous schools and NGOs for the growth of tribal children. But the Bhaganpur village of Deogarh lacks the same. How does it pose a challenge to the right of children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009 of the Indian government, thereby inhibiting their development of a free and healthy lifestyle and integration into the mainstream community?
Thank you, Dr. Barsha. Here, what I'm trying to emphasize, you have taken example from my research, one from the Itki Thakurgaon from Ranchi. Itki Thakurgaon it is called, and Bhagwanpur from Devgarh district. All right. So here, what I'm trying to say is from the very beginning, I shared about it. In the Ranchi districts, all kinds of schools, okay, whether it's Christian missionaries running schools, and also supporting with the NGOs, supporting by the NGOs here, because many of the NGOs, civil society organizations are active there. And also, so is the case with the government. If they are functioning well, so definitely government schools are also active there. Okay, because if something lacking, then the missionaries will approach, and again the civil society organization or governmental organization supporting equally to the government schools. Most precisely, I'm just talking about when I visited there in the different villages and schools, then I found there so many things supported by the missionaries also in the government schools. One thing, and so is the case with the right to education. If all the things are in place, then only the policies and programs will act. Okay, if all the things are not in the place, the people are not aware about the fact. For instance, take an example of different kind of reservation policy you have. So who are getting the benefit of reservation policy? Not the remote areas, those who are SCs and STs, those who are staying in the remote areas. Not like this. So is the case with this. Those tribals of these Ranchi districts are taking the benefit of right to education. But on the other hand, the Bhagwanpur village of Devgarh district, only the government schools are active, and government schools are functioning like them. No, nothing else. No aware things, and also the local people are also not active about this. They can help to the government schools so that they will encourage the students, tribal students, to study there. They can go to the schools only limited with the midday meal schemes in other provinces and nothing else. So because of this, I found only the place government policies and programs will work if the awareness and the all the things are active there. Then only the government policy will act. Otherwise, I don't think so. So is the case with these two villages of these two districts that I found. So in this one village, right to education functioning very well, but on the other hand, Bhagwanpura, the Devra district, is not functioning. So this is my answer.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
My next question is for Dr. Farooqee. Sir, I would like to ask, what is the impact of this traditional knowledge of wool dyeing of the Bhotia society upon the market economy of modern India? Could you share some of the future prospects regarding this?
Yeah. See, I had, as these people, during lean time, the women get involved in making woolen garments. These wools are taken from the sheep and goat. And the shearing is done by the male folks, and they draw wool. They make lot of wools and woolen garments. Now these traditionally they used to make lot of natural dyes. Now natural dyes were made from plant extracts. A number of plants they use for different colors, and that's how they got the dyes. And now they were only limited color. The black wool was available naturally, and the white wool were colored into red, yellow, and using red and yellow they used to get green, they used to get different shades of red, they also got some of the shades of what you call peach color from the red and yellow color, from a red and yellow color. Now they also they made few colors later on, but what happened was, they also made green color later on. They learned from other communities using some plants like what you call this palak. So similar to palak, there is another green resources, green grasses. They used to make green colors from them. Later on, the natural dyes were replaced by chemical dyes. Now these chemical dyes they started coming from the Punjab. A number of and these chemical dyes were in attractive colors in different shades and easily available, because natural dye they took a lot of time in making the dye color, bringing the resources, breaking it, mixing it, then coloring it. But chemical dyes were available, readily available. So now those natural dyes have also been replaced by chemical dyes, and also because of forest legislation, where earlier minor forest products were allowed to be collected from the forest area. Later on, when government saw that their commercial activities, they were selling a lot of woolen garments, so they stopped bringing any kind of product from the forest area. So NTFP also became very scarce for them, and this chemical colors were easily available. So their activities continue the woolen garments into different color, but only people of the local areas they purchase from woolen garments made by these people, because they are a little expensive, although they are good wool. Now woolen garments, woolen sweaters from Ludhiana and other hand, easily available in different color, different shades, and very finely designed. So the entire other lower down cities and other villages, they purchase those, which is in quite cheap in because of the mass production in the industries, in the hand industries of Ludhiana and Jalandhar. Whereas those people who know the value of pure wool, only they depend and they purchase. So this is how the even though the chemical dye has replaced the natural dye, but still their limited products has a small market in the Uttarakhand and other regions. Then one more commercial activity I thought that I must mention here, that is collection of a mushroom. Now this mushroom appears immediately after the snow starts melting on the alpine meadows all along. This happened in Leh Ladakh also. This happens in Himachal also, high altitude, in Uttarakhand, and it happens in Nepal, Sikkim, and also in Arunachal. Now there is a mushroom called cordyceps. Now this mushroom, it's also called in Hindi kida ghas. It is sold at a very exorbitant price. So it is sold in Tibetan market, is used as an aphrodisiac by Tibet. So entire this mushroom cordyceps are collected by, not by the pastoral community, by the lower altitude people. They have discovered it, that this is available during March and April when the snows melt from the alpine meadows. So they go and start collecting that cordyceps, this mushroom, kida ghas in Hindi, and this is sold at 1 to 1.5 lakhs kg. So expensive. So the entire village of high altitude area they go and collect. So during course of collection they destroy the alpine meadows, they destroy their grazing resources also. But this is happening. It is a big threat. Although the forest department has declared collection illegal, but during night time people go and stay, because you forest guards cannot check the entire alpine meadows. The mountain is very big. So this is destroying, this is happening. This is a big illegal commercial activity which is happening, which is a big stigma on the pastoral communities also, because they had discovered, these pastoral groups had discovered this cordyceps, cordyceps sinensis in botanical language. This is the thing, mushroom cordyceps it is called, kida ghas in Hindi. So earlier they discovered it and they started trading it. But after discovering the price, it is a big threat to the forest and alpine resources of the. So commercialization is affecting their pastoral lifestyle and the movement of these pastoral groups also because of this. I hope I have answered partial to your query. I don't
Yes,
know what.
definitely.
Yeah,
Uh, I got it that the commercialization has affected environment and pastoral communities so badly over there.
yeah, yeah.
So, Dr. Nitish Raj, I have my next question for you. The question is, how will the modern establishments of microfinance institutions or community based financial institutions help build a sustainable livelihood for the tribal communities? Has the National Scheduled Tribes Finance and Development Corporation scheme of the Indian government helped the tribals of Jharkhand in any way?
Thank you, Barsha ma'am. I would like to give the answer of this question. Actually, the microfinancial institutions and community-based financial institutions plays a very crucial role in empowering tribal communities and building sustainable livelihood. Here is how. That is access to financial services. In fact, many tribal communities often lack access to formal banking services due to geographical remoteness. In Chaibasa district, you can see in Dumka, in Sahibganj, that is Rajmahal kind of the things. Here, you will see that there is a lot of geographical remoteness, and many tribal communities they lack to access the formal banking services. Lack of collateral or low income labels (MFIs) and community-based financial institutions provide them with access to financial services like savings. They can increase their savings. They can go for credit, insurance, and remittance facilities. So these all enabling them to manage their finance effectively. Second point would be credit for livelihood activities. So these institutions offer credit facilities that is tailored to need of tribal communities. Whatever you need, you can tailor it. So including small loans for agriculture, livestock, rearing, handicrafts, small businesses. So this actually means these financial supports. Next may be this financial literacy and capacity building, because MFIs and community-based financial institutions often conduct financial literacy programs in very small level. They run it in small villages also and provide training on entrepreneurship, business management, saving mobilizations. This happens in Jharkhand in a very small way, in small villages also. So by enhancing financial literacy and building the capacity of tribal individuals and groups, so these institutions empower them to make informed financial decisions and manage their resources more effectively. Next, very important point is SSG. That is, MFI and community-based financial institutions often work through SSG, which are community-based organizations formed by tribal members to pool savings, access credit, and support each other in various livelihood activities. As far as the National Scheduled Tribal Finance and Development Corporations schemes of the Indian government, so it aims to provide financial assistance and support to tribal communities in order to overcome from their financial needs by providing access to finance like tribal entrepreneurship for setting up and expanding their enterprises, they are providing these schemes also includes provisions for skill development training, capacity buildings, entrepreneurship development programs, according to the needs of the tribal communities. And many tribal communities in Jharkhand possess unique skills in traditional crafts and industries. So this is the NSTFDC supports the programs and the preservations of these cultural practices by providing financial assistance, market linkage. You must have about this Jharcraft. Okay, these are the one of the example of market linkage, technical support, thereby preserving indigenous knowledge and fostering sustainable livelihoods. As well as also NSTFDC encourage self-employment ventures, micro enterprises among tribal youth and women by facilitating across to credit training and other support services. So overall, while challenges persist in ensuring the effective implementation and reach the government schemes like NSTFDC, they have the potential to signify the contribute to the sustainable livelihood of the tribal communities and for their socio-economic development. Uh, so I think that this this would be the answer of this question. So thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the answer, sir. It's really interesting to know that the NSTFDC is actually helping tribals for regarding tribal entrepreneurship and their development.
It is, yeah, ma'am.
My next question is for Dr. Choudhary again. Sir, it is believed that the Orang tribal community still sacrifices humans before cultivating crops. How does this belief help them align with their visions of sustainable relationships with the surrounding environment, particularly within the context of an ever increasing modernization of the nation?
Thank you, Dr. Barsha. Actually, I visited the places of Urao, Mundas, and Nehal also. But what you are saying, I found a very less kind of things. But somewhere this is practicing, but not everywhere. Okay, some of the places that I found. But they have the kind of, you can say, customary culture and something like that. So they will practice. Okay, so many, even many communities, not only the tribals, even many communities, there are certain kind of belief system that they are following. Okay, you have Hinduism also. There are different kinds of things that you will find. Okay, so they are following like this. So it's not related with something environment. What I'm thinking about this, their cultural practices they will do.
It
That's it.
is basically a cultural practice regarding them.
Yeah.
My next question is for Dr. Farooqee again. So, how has organic farming by tribal communities in rural India led to the growth of sustainable livelihood development? Could this be a solution to the modern problems of excessive use of pesticides and insecticides that lead to health hazards and environmental pollution?
Yeah. You see, organic farming in India, although people, many organizations and farmers, they claim that it is produced organically, but they don't get the desired market rate because of lack of agencies which can certify. Now, in West, all America, Western countries, certification is a very important component for organic produce. All organic produce, if it is certified by a certified agency, only then it will draw a very good price. Otherwise, in India, there are only government agencies who are certifying, although they are claiming that it has been organically grown, produced. Like all the tribal communities or all the remote farming communities, they still depend on manure for their agriculture, water, little bit, and humus, which they draw from the leaf litter things. And little bit in Uttarakhand, they plant what you call few plants which is considered to be insect repellent, and they don't use pesticides. So they are still in practice, and but there is no agency to certify that this is or produced organically, so that they can draw a better price for their produce. So tribal communities and farmers in far-flung and remote areas, although they are not using chemical fertilizers and pesticides, but there is no agency to certify their products, which is far in the very remote, far-flung areas. Now, another important component of this discussion is that a number of ICR agencies, Indian Council of Agriculture, there are research institutes for all the crops, there are research institutes for all the fruits, all the condiments. Now, these research institutes have produced a number of high yielding variety of wheat, maize, all the condiments, spices they have produced. Now, these seeds, they require a good quantity of water, good quantity of NKP, nitrogen, phosphorus, and good quantity of pesticides, because they have been designed genetically, they have been designed after crossbreeding. So those natural resistance which used to be there in their produce in these plants traditionally, it is not there. So these plants, although they have been designed and given free, because the yield rate is very high, they give very good yield, but it is not organic. So people have left their traditional organic cultivation and they have moved to this chemical high yielding variety to get more income. So this is also a big deterrent, a big factor, that the people, farmers in the remote areas, they are switching over to high yielding variety, which is not a organic produce. Now they are switching over for getting more yield, for getting more profit. And on the other hand, the traditional crops, the traditional which we are growing, they are not getting price because lack of certification. There is no agency to certify that this produce is an organic produce. So these are the two. I hope I have tried to give some sense to your questions.
Yes.
Thank you.
My next question is for Dr. Raj. Sir, have technologically innovated strategies for waste management, transportation, and resource efficiency benefited from or been influenced by tribal practices for environmental sustenance in Jharkhand? Did such indigenous knowledge lead to the assimilation of tribals into the mainstream job market?
Definitely, ma'am. Definitely. That is the technological innovative strategies for waste management and transportation and resource efficiency have increasingly drawn inspiration from tribal practices for environmental sustenance in Jharkhand and other regions. So, indigenous knowledge and practices have proven valuable in informing sustainable approach to various aspects of modern developments, including like waste management. We have talked about that is the tribal communities often have traditional practices for waste management that prioritize reuse, recycling, and compositing. So these practices, such as using organic waste for compositing or repurposing materials for various purposes, so and also align with modern principles of sustainable waste management. So these are the things that is very much important. Second one is that is the transportation. So tribal community basically relied on sustainable modes of transportation that is suited to their local environment, like they used to be walking, cycling, using animal drawn carts. So the low carbon transportation methods have inspired modern efforts to promote non-monetized transportation, reduce dependency on fossil fuels, and resource efficiency. That is the third point. That is, tribal communities have a deep understanding of natural resources and ecosystem. That is leading to practices that promote resource efficiency and conservations. So, like traditional agriculture techniques, water harvesting methods, forest management practices. So these are based on principles of sustainability. and resilience. So modern approach to resource management such as sustainable agriculture, water conservation, and renewable energy technology drawn upon this indigenous knowledge to develop more efficient environment friendly solutions. And the second part of your questions, just I want to say that it is incorporating that is tribal practices into modern development strategies not only contribute to environmental sustainability but also has the potential to benefit tribal communities in terms of livelihood and economic integration. Like they have the skill transfer and capacity buildings, programs that facilitate the transfer of traditional and knowledge and skills from tribal communities to mainstream society can enhance the employability of tribal individuals in sector related to environmental conservation, sustainable agriculture, ecotourism, capacity building initiatives aimed at empowering tribal youth. You can take the examples of Birsa Agriculture Zoo in Ranchi itself. That is, many tribal peoples have got job over there, and they are using their traditional technology in order to preserve the animals over there. Second one is that community-based enterprises, so it is leveraging indigenous knowledge and practices can support the development of community-based enterprises. Always it will be in sectors such as organic farming, eco-friendly handicrafts, can create employment opportunities. So there are so many opportunities for tribal communities, as well as also they can go for the collaborative partnership. Yes, it is because public-private partnership, NGO and government initiatives that recognizes the value of indigenous knowledge can facilitate collaboration between tribal communities and mainstream institutions because they have the they have the knowledge that how they are going to mainstreams. But if the mainstreams peoples come to the tribal peoples and they want to extract the things from the tribal peoples, then definitely it is going to help to the tribal as well as also to the mainstreams. So I think that these are the important things. According to this, the expertise of the tribal community also can be increased, as well as also the whole the community can be developed and can get the benefit. Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Bam,
Um,
can I share one small experience on similar
yes,
lines from the Himalayas?
yes,
Now,
sir.
in Himalayan region, mountainous region, wherever roads have gone, commercialization has followed, products from outside have gone in, and the small produce traditionally and subsistence agriculture, their sustainability has broken down. Also, the knowledge system of modern science and technology, wherever they have gone with high yielding variety, new options for this, new technology in the name of that. So they have also destroyed the traditional knowledge, traditional sustainability, because that was produced for a limited population in a small quantity, and commercialization demands high more production, and it destroys the traditional sustainability system. So road technology and commercialization, they are the factors in the Himalayan context I am talking, because there I have seen in most of the villages during my stay for 20 years in the Himalayan region, wherever there were no roads earlier, and after roads have come up, I have again revisited those areas and found that things have totally destroyed. They are getting, they are selling, momos. They are selling what you call Maggie noodles and cold drinks, and the traditional snacks, traditional produce have gone. Sorry for
Thank
adding
you,
to
sir.
that.
Thank you, sir.
Ma'am, I just want to say one thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. In fact, Sir Professor Farooqee, Nehal Farooqee sir has given examples of that, how the roads comes and how the economic development, in fact, okay, destroy the environment as well as also the traditional things. But I have seen in Jharkhand here that there are many, many peoples, tribal peoples, who are now they joined to many of the hotels over there. They have opened their own hotels, their own restaurant, and they are going to share the traditional piece of meal, whatever. that they are going to like Dhuska, Barra kind of the things, as well as also Munga kind of the things. They are serving to the people, and the people are liking very much. So there are two-way things. That one thing in which I believe that yeah, actually I'm the student of economics, so I believe that really it is going to be harm to the environment. But second thing is that it is on the people, that how they are taking the development itself. If they are taking it in a very positive way, then then it didn't matter. In Jharkhand itself, it had been happened, I think. So sorry, sir, but I just want to
Yeah,
say the
you are
things.
absolutely
Thank you, sir.
right. You are
Right,
absolutely
sir.
right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Farooqee. Thank you, Dr. Raj. Thank you, Dr. Choudhary. With that, we come to an end to tonight's discussion. I thank each one of you for sharing your knowledge and valuable insights with us. I'm sure our audience has had a wonderful time and have learned a lot as well. We are grateful to you all for taking out time out of your busy schedules and for being a part of this discussion. It was an absolute pleasure to have been in your company this evening. This is to remind that we are calling for submissions on tribal history and tribal representation in history, the details of which can be viewed on www.tellmeyourstory.biz. Good night, everyone. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.